Welcome back to the AM show. This is the AM News. Let's get into the program. Now, although we are celebrating with our Muslim brothers and sisters, I want to bring you the story of some confusion that transpired. Now, after a month of fasting, Muslims gathered across various centers for Eid al-Fitr prayers, marking the end of Ramadan. However, confusion erupted at a prayer ground in Bole as disputes arose over leadership between the Sakpari clan and Muslims. This led to property damage and panic among attendees. Security forces, including the FPU, intervened to restore calm and mitigate further escalation of the situation. Let's take a look at what really transpired. We will bring you more in our subsequent bulletins, but let's move on now to some Jamestown fire story. More than 1,000 persons displaced by yesterday's fire outbreak in a slum community near Jamestown here in Accra are still without relief items 24 hours after their homes were destroyed. The victims, mostly fisherfolk and their dependents, lost their entire belongings, including their earnings from their fishing activities, clothes and even food. They're expected to pass a second night without shelter. Semefa Rejoice Pesu has more in this report.
Fire swept through over 500 wooden structures that served as shelters for the community. As a result, scores of families have been forced to sleep in the open with little to no access to basic necessities. The lack of immediate shelter, coupled with the destruction of personal belongings, has exacerbated an already dire situation for the affected residents. Individuals who lost their shelters in the blaze are now appealing to authorities for essential aid.
Last at around 1 something.
We were sitting close to the sea and we scented smoke and we thought it was someone burning charcoal. But we weren't convinced enough, so we decided to check where that thick smoke was coming from. Upon our arrival, we saw our homes burning to ashes. We didn't have enough water, so we didn't have a choice to go and fetch water from the sea. Indeed, we lost a lot.
Ashui Abwa Fandan and Tersumbi and a fee Biniska Binidi 30 million, between 70 million, between the 6 million. The abandonment of Mescaya Washu. I know skates there who say Edis one pass and I be the ma. I reform about what about funny what I name, what I call into your 2 men at Ashadati. The Kade offend. But Pano Botiado, Chinese for Dana, Ways Adanacasin. I want to find Yakade, Nay Biampo Yanda.
Assembly member for the Gbagba City, Jamestown area, Festus Ni Ai Hayford, has been speaking to JoyNews.
This place is a business area, so it's not a place for people to be living. Even though people do come and then after work, they have some massive structures around which they try to spend the night in order, because some would have to go for sea probably at dawn or early the following morning. So those whose properties have been destroyed are the fishmongers. Fishmongers, yes. They have lost a lot of things. Engaging some of them. Yesterday I came around when the fire was being quenched. And then we saw a few of them who were trying to salvage the few things that were left for them. It was a difficult scene to behold. A few of them who had to leave just step out. Those who were able to salvage some of their stuff, they bought Abochie and then some other means of transportation to take them back to wherever they are coming from. Those who don't have anywhere going, they have to pay to their friends. That was what I saw. But just for us to know that this place, like I mentioned earlier on, is not a residential area. It is a business area. And the numbers, as of now, I can't give you offer because we are still putting the list. You know, they are dependents. So if you want to add the dependents to the main business owners, then you can be talking about these huge numbers.
Deputy Director of the Accra Sub-Metro of NADMO says efforts are underway to assess the full extent of damage and identify ways to support those who have lost their homes.
We are here to take their data so that we will know the number of people who are affected. Mayor and a team were here to grant interview. So she tasked us to come and take the data, and then we forward the data for her to know if there is any help that they can give to support them. We are taking down their names. Actually, we don't know those who are affected. So we have asked their leaders to take down their names, their items that are destroyed by the fire, and then we quantify it in the monetary term. And then we also do our assessment. We do the reconciliation. We write a memo to it and we forward it to the mayor. So they will also take it from there and see what they can do. Information or any the incident that happens, we will do by getting the data and then we give it to the corporate authorities and they will be working on it. So I can't say anything that we have the resourceful things to help or not for now.
In the meantime, affected residents remain in a state of uncertainty, grappling with the immediate aftermath of the fire and a daunting task of rebuilding their lives.
And now, he's shaken but not shaken. That's the watchword of a former prisons guard, Akufo-Addo, who has for the past 13 years battled with Parkinson's disease, a medical condition that forces him to shake uncontrollably. His condition, although burdensome, is not deterring his spouse, but rather deepening the affection for each other. Marking International Parkinson's Disease Today, Emmanuel Bright's Kweku tells the story of love brewed amidst a debilitating condition.
Uncontrollable tremors, slow movements, and speech changes are few of the symptoms 60-year-old Akufo-Addo, not his real name, battles every day of his life. What started as a mild head shake aggravated into extreme physical shake of his entire body, especially his hands, which doctors later diagnosed as Parkinson's disease. Wife of Akufo-Addo recounts the 13-year tale of her husband's ordeal. Parkinson's disease is a brain condition that affects movements, mental health, sleep, and causes pain. The disease is as a result of the loss of nerve cells that produce a chemical messenger in the brain known as dopamine. A decrease in dopamine levels brings about irregular brain activity, leading to problems with movement and other symptoms. Kweku, until his ailment in 2011, was an officer at the Tamale prison in northern Ghana, but was later transferred to the Ashanti region for medical care.
If you want to move class, and Medina hospital, and men over day. Oh my.
The symptoms of the disease are usually misdiagnosed, which make the disease difficult to manage when lately diagnosed. Dr. Divine Amenuke is the lead clinician at the Internal Medicine Department of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital.
If it comes in late, then, as I said, the effects on the brain that has led to the reduction in the dopamine is so much, so it makes it more difficult to treat. Unfortunately, these days, as we've heard, it tends to be seen also in younger groups. At first, we thought it was only the elderly that were getting it mainly, but even people who are in their 30s are also getting it.
The cause of the disease is unknown, but several factors appear to play a role. Specific genetic changes and environmental triggers, including organic poison, have been identified to increase the disease risk. The disease is the second most common neurological disorder globally and the fastest growing disease in Africa. In Ghana, Parkinson's form 12% of diseases reported at hospitals, with the country placing 70th on the Global Prevalence Index. The cost of medication for the disease is presenting heavy financial burden on patients. Only 2 medications are covered under the list of the country's essential medicines, which health officers say aren't the suitable medication to manage the disease. Dr. Ishaq Ahmed Yusuf is a pharmacist at KNUST.
If you don't control the symptoms early, the disease progresses very fast, and the implications are that the conditions will progress with complications. If you have these medications, the tremors reduces, the rigidity, the slowness of movement, and in terms of their lifestyle, it helps improve their lifestyle.
While doctors appeal for an insurance coverage for the disease, the Enidaswa Parkinson's Disease Foundation has been supporting people living with the disease. Dr. Vida Obese is the president of the foundation.
Educating the public about the disease and letting them understand that is not the case. Secondly, we also want the patients to understand their condition so that you know yourself that that is not the case. And so when you build yourself up, you're able to match up to whatever challenges people expose you to.
They want me super because they want how about so by the never MP. Here, come a fire when you're quite sorry.
But just as the marriage vows they exchanged 40 years ago, the couple will not allow the disease sever their love and respect they have for each other. Kweku may be shaken, but his wife and himself are not shaken as they find solace in each other. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
That's a very affectionate story there, marking International Day of Parkinson's Disease. But moving on, disease outbreak in remote areas of Ghana are most often reported late or underreported due to lack of avenues to channel these reports to inform relevant national intervention. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is working on a mobile application which makes it easy for underserved communities to access healthcare. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has more for Tech Thursday. Enjoy.
The mobile application, which has been developed under the MESTI mHealth project, can operate with or without internet. It has 2 sections, a part for ordinary Ghanaians and a place for medical personnel. The app will be used to gather data on disease symptoms, which will then be analyzed by medical personnel for swift intervention. To address language barriers, the app is equipped with language translation features. Beyond this, users can seek virtual consultation and emergency care, among others. Dr. Rosemary Owusu-Mensah-Jenin is principal investigator of the project.
That is going to disseminate health information We are going to use the app as a means to collect data, analyze the data to do forecasting predictions so that we can avoid some of the outbreaks that come around, or we can take in proactive measures to deal with emerging health challenges. So we are looking at a point where people will use the app, provide some information on, let's say, symptoms, and then we can come up to a certain point where we can say that we feel that people in the northern region are complaining about these symptoms within this time of the year. So what should Ghana Health Service do then? So we have medication reminders where people can log in the drugs they are supposed to take, so they can use the app to communicate among themselves, share relevant information, and also transfer patient history, make appointments as and when necessary. We also have avenues for emergency assistance and virtual consultations.
Dr. Emmanuel Ahene is co-investigator.
You would look at the regions we have in Ghana, you would realize that in almost every region in Ghana, there is this group of people who would have limited access to healthcare. And those are the people who are targets to ensure we use this mobile technology to enhance their access to healthcare.
In other news, the German ambassador to Ghana says it's in the best interest of all to ensure Ghana remains safe at all times. In a speech read on his behalf by the Deputy Head of Missions, Mrs. Sylvain Janssen, said even though countries in the Sahel region continue to be unstable, Ghana has maintained its stability. The Deputy Head of Missions made this call at the commissioning of a vehicle maintenance workshop for the Immigration Service in Tamale.
The maintenance workshop, with support from the German government, is to help the Immigration Service maintain its fleet of vehicles to enhance its work. Speaking at the commissioning, Mrs. Sylvain Janssen said there are a host of problems in the Sahel regions, ranging from competition for scarce resources to terrorism.
So they span from competition over very scarce resources, the need for increased state support for social services and development, tensions between migrating and local communities, chieftaincy conflicts, organized, including transborder crime, and last but not least, radical and extremist forces in the direct neighborhood, retreating also into Ghana. I don't want to paint a bleak picture on such a happy occasion, but I am sure that everyone here has realized how the focus of Germany and the EU also, including the member states and other international actors, has really shifted to the Sahel and as such also to the northern parts of Ghana. We and our international friends, we aim for the best future for this region. And it is in all of our best interest to keep Ghana safe and enable her to fulfill the prosperous future that she deserves.
The Deputy Controller General of Immigration, Finance and Administration, Isaac Owusu-Mensah, said the garage will go a long way to mitigate the challenges faced by the service.
Today, we are very pleased to observe the successful completion of the construction of this facility, and I must emphasize that this will go a long way to mitigate the problem faced by the service in maintaining its fleet of vehicles and motorbikes that are deployed particularly to remote areas for operational activities, including security operations.
Northern Regional Minister Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu called for maintenance to increase its lifespan.
Edifices that have been inaugurated with fanfare have been allowed to deteriorate few years after usage, all due to absence of operations and maintenance plans to ensure that they are regularly maintained. Against this background, I want to request the GIS to put up a robust operational and maintenance plan that would give this modern facility an everlasting lifespan.
The Northern Regional Commander of the Immigration Service, Dr. Prosper Asma, said the challenges faced by commanders in the northern regions cannot be overemphasized.
It is near impossible to enumerate all the difficulties that commanders in the northern regions undergo in trying to maintain and service vehicles. Numerous vehicles and motorbikes have been grounded due to the non-availability of the requisite parts, the lack of adequate expertise, tools, and the long distances to be traveled to procure relevant parts, just to mention a few. This really is a one-stop solution and a game changer to our automobile servicing and repair problems.
For final story in this bulletin, the old students of St. Augustine's College have presented robotics equipment to the school's Artificial Intelligence and Drone Club to help the students acquire 21st century skills. Speaking after the donation, an old student, Dr. Stephen Moore, stated that the donation is to help build the students' understanding in the field of robotics and to help them in upcoming AI robotics competition. There's more in this report.
Artificial intelligence and other robotic tools have become very necessary for people all over the world, especially students. According to the St. Augustine's old student, helping the students to acquire knowledge in robotics is one great way of developing their interest in STEM-related programs to help propel the student to greater heights. An old student, Dr. Stephen Moore, a lecturer at the Department of Mathematics at the University of Cape Coast, explained the rationale for the donation.
The idea is to support the students in the school to be able to help them build their understanding of robotics. And we feel this is the best way to do it. If they get this state-of-the-art equipment, then they'll be able to train well and prepare as well better for their future as well as for the college. There are a lot of competitions on robotics in Ghana, particularly the World Robotics Competition, which is usually in June. And the winner of this competition represents Ghana internationally. This year to be in Turkey. Over the years, we've not provided a lot of support for the students, but this year we decided that we needed to provide more support. And this is what we are here for. We came to present equipment worth of about 50,000 Ghana cedis only on robotics to help the students train, prepare. And we believe that this preparation is not just for competitions, but also will go to enhance their academic life.
The coach of the St. Augustine's AI and Drone Club, Wilson Sarah Mamamu, noted how crucial it has become for the students to get these machines and equipment to help them in their practice.
With the items that we have today, it will increase our chances a lot in the competition. For instance, the preparation that we are going through for the RISE WRO competition, we will need about 4 of the spike boards to program them to play table tennis. So if hitherto we had none, now that we have at least 4 of them, it will help the students prepare for that particular part of the events. Yes, we will appeal to them because we're looking at the student population. I mean, 4 of this for 1,000+ population is inadequate. I would have wished that maybe 5 students will have 1 to practice with. If you have 2,000+ students, you can imagine the number that we will need.
Headmaster of St. Augustine's College, Henry Athajan, thanked the old students for their show of support for the school, especially their desire for the young ones to acquire 21st century skills.
We are excited having such gadgets, which will help them prepare well to be able to go and compete. So we are just urging them on to make good use of these gadgets, go into competitions and win, so that they will make those who are donating proud.
Some of the students spoke to JoyNews.
By using robotics, students can learn concepts that are required in the 21st century world, like coding and engineering. Using these robots, they can be introduced to these concepts at an early age, so that as they grow up, then they'll learn more things in the industry and then they're able to get into the job market. Because nowadays, with the technology shifts and the AI and how most of the jobs that we do nowadays, now you can sit in your house and you can work. With these robots, we can now start actually getting the foundation for doing those kind of jobs.
And that will be all for the news on the AM show. Up next is the news review. Stay with me.